for a spot at nationals. Narrowly missed out on it a couple years, and she's one of the top bar workers in the country.
On the Yale side of things, they will start on beam. And again, when you talk about the order in this rotation, you could probably possibly say this is probably the toughest challenge for the Bulldogs starting off on bars.
They're starting on beam, and that is a challenging event to start on. They had a really solid performance, though, last week on beam, and they have some real highlights in their lineup, including Hannah Strauss has beautiful lines. Haley Chris, one of their newcomers that really made an impact last week, so I'm excited to see them.
Getting a chance to start on beam, my apologies. Strauss absolutely was very strong, 9-7-7-5 in that last outing. In a meet that Yale very much shined in and up north. So again, we talk about these four in general, and we'll talk about Ursinus in just a moment. They'll start on floor, a big highlight for them as well. But you talk about maybe the two that aren't looked at as the biggest go-getters, the biggest highest point as a team in Ursinus and Yale. They're coming off very strong weekends in their openers.
Yeah, and we're going to look at the Ursinus fans here. Of course, Ursinus, a local team from just outside of Philadelphia. They compete in Division III, and just a reminder for college gymnastics fans, the Division III programs compete under the same code of points as Division I, and Ursinus is coming off that win at their meet last weekend. Floor is a great place for them to start.
We'll continue to look at things for this first rotation as a whole. You mentioned Penn on the vault, Towson on the bars, Yale on the beam. You see it right there, and Ursinus starting with things on the floor. Let's talk about that floor routine for Ursinus. Again, when you talk about someone who knows this Palestra very well, and head coach Kim Valenti, well, floor was a big bright spot for them in their opener.
And one of the things I loved when I talked to Kim Valenti before the meet, she said one of the team goals this year is to break the program record on floor. I love that ambition. 48.6 is their program record. They got a 48.2 last week. So absolutely a place where she felt like they could pick up a couple of tenths, and they're really gunning for it.
And then someone we'll talk about as the meet goes on the Ursinus side, you have to mention Erin Rowe and what she could do not only all around, but specifically the vault. That could be very interesting to see her later.
Yeah, and NCAA gym fans, you're gonna have to stay tuned because we might have an exciting debut from her on floor. I also love Sydney Schreiber on floor for Ursinus. She does her own choreography, which is always fun to see.
As we mentioned, just about set to get things going underway. We'll look at how things will come together as go through things on the beam, starting things off. Believe just ready to go is Hannah Strauss. First one to get set and ready to go for competition on any apparatus so far today. And we were just mentioning Strauss and what she could do very much. You want to start with a big go. Hannah Strauss.
And Strauss underway right now, getting set for her series as Lauren Keener gets set to go and just missed that opening vault from Sienna Soccaro. See if we can catch that on replay. Keener underway here on bars. Nice connection in that Jaeger to overshoot. Maybe just a little shy on that last handstand and in the pirouette, but nice connection, drills that landing. Nice job.
Lauren Keener mentioned go make a big splash. Keener trying to do so right there. Excellent start for Towson and the Tigers. Isabel Scarpetti starts on the floor for Ursinus, and we mentioned Sienna Soccaro will be kicking things off on the Penn side. There's your first sighting in the quad box today, and Hannah Strauss on the beam kicking things off. Hannah Strauss kicking things off.
And really nice dismount there for her as Scarpetti gets started here.
Scarpetti going for Ursinus.
Isabel Song set to go for Penn on vault.
Go back and talk about Scarpetti a little bit, the senior from Manchester, New Hampshire. See top left of your screen. Megan Brooke for Yale will get a chance to work on the beam in a moment.
And really pretty choreography from Scarpetti here.
Isabel Song, the senior from Morristown, New Jersey. Beyond for a moment for Penn.
And Scarpetti just under rotated on that final punch front, but hangs on to it. And this is also a new Leo. So for College Gym News, we got a Leo alert here. I really like the way that they have the Ursinus College logo on the side there.
UC with a little bear claw coming through it. We were mentioning before, could just do 2 hours talking about leotards.
Exactly.
Lauren Green for Towson on the bars currently.
And look at that beautiful pirouetting work. Really unusual to see in college gymnastics.
We get the scores together that have come in. 2.5.
And the Stalter into the double back. Didn't quite hang on to it, but I love her pirouetting work.
So Green will await her score for Lauren Keener, 9.85. Start things off on the bars for Towson, 9.725 for Hannah Strauss for Yale, kicking things off for the Bulldogs. And as we mentioned, Scarpetti just wrapping things up. And for Penn, still working on the vault.
And nice dynamics in that Yurchenko fold. Does take that step back, but I like the height and distance that she got on that vault.
Isabel Song was the one to go right there, as we mentioned, the senior from Morristown, New Jersey. Former second team all-conference selection in the vault last year. And back in 22, had an excellent year. All GEC in the vault and the bars.
And Bruick, what I liked her fight there because she was just off with her shoulders on that aerial, but really corrected that mistake pretty seamlessly.
Megan Bruick, the one working on the beam for Yale. As we mentioned, Straw's kicking things off, 9.725.
Nice control on that landing, gets the stick, good for her.
Lauren Green trying to continue a solid start for Yale on the beam.
And I believe that was Lauren Green for Towson on bars. Getting a look at Clara Hong here. And Marissa Lassiter on vault for Penn.
Erin Rowe, the next one to go for Ursinus, the one currently on the floor. Green, as we mentioned, on the bars. Megan Bruick was the one last to go beam for Yale. And as we mentioned, Erin Rowe, she's someone that you have to highlight on this Ursinus squad. You don't even have to highlight specifically for Ursinus. For this meet, for this quad, she's a huge highlight.
She's fantastic and nice control out of that double back there. And speaking of fantastic, Marissa Lassiter, big dynamics on that Yurchenko fold. Just a little pike at the end, but they're stoked about it.
So 3 through for Penn and the Quakers. Lassiter, the last one to go on the vault. Clara Hong for Towson. Next to work on the bars. And as we mentioned, Erin Rowe working on the floor. Scarpetti 9-3 on her opening score.
And hangs on to that front layout to end as Clara Hong gets started here. Clara Hong just a little shy on that bail to handstand, but such pretty lines. Oh, and was going for broke on that last handstand. Step on that double front, but her form on bars is so special. I have seen her be a little bit more precise in some of those handstands and the landing, but just a phenomenal bar swinger.
Bafana, the next one to go for Penn on the vault. Allie Forbes ready to go for Yale. And Rowe just finishing things up on the floor. Allie Forbes. Again, when you talk about this GL squad, team that's starting to build their program to the point with some very young talent, freshmen, sophomores, really getting involved. And Forbes adding on to that a little bit, the freshman from Edmonton.
And did a nice job in connecting that front toss to beat jump. Those connections are really important to build gymnast start values. And Monty here for Penn, speaking of newcomers that have had an impact, really powerful gymnast.
The next one to go on the vault.
And just a hop back there, but I love the block that she got, that rise off the table. And you want to talk about the quality of Ivy League gymnastics. You're seeing newcomers in both of these boxes really doing a great job for Penn and Yale.
More scores coming in high on the bars, 9-7-5. Putting together a pretty solid start for Towson on bars. 9-6 for Brooke, as we mentioned on the beam for Yale. Currently, Allie Forbes, the first year from Edmonton. And Rose still waiting on her score on floor. They talk about Allie Forbes a little bit. The first year, competing at the Canadian National Championships, placing that spot all around last year. Doing a whole lot out in Alberta.
And you're getting a look at Sky Carrico here. As I mentioned at the top, debuted her Yurchenko 1.5. First gymnast in Penn history to do a 1.5, and get ready because it's a big one. As Steph Makasu gets started here, big Ray.
Carrico on vault, absolutely someone to watch. Top right of your screen, get ready.
And Makasu maybe moved just a little quickly through the full pirouette into the double back, had that extra energy, had to take that step back. But another hit for Towson. I mean, this is one of their best events, so they're really capitalizing where they're strong here.
Team that went to regionals last year. That's the goal now, trying to be a team that is in that consistent field at regionals and eventually into full nationals.
Yeah, third season in a row they made regionals last year. Sky Carrico, here we go. See if she does the 1.5 again. Just opened up a little early for that landing compared to the other outings I've seen from her. She'd taken hops forward, but really nice and clean in the air, and just amazing for her to upgrade that vault. Had never competed it before.
Fifth one to go on the vault for Penn. Jordan Barrow will be the sixth one to go. 2 exhibitions for Penn. Van Horn and Wu will also get a chance to go. As Haley Chris on the beam for Yale. Forbes 9-5-7-5. A little bit. And then Lucy Warburton for Ursinus on the floor.
And seeing a lot of those double salto passes from Ursinus, really nice to see. Good control out of that 1.5 to front layout.
Warburton hailing from Chambersbridge Shire, England. First year season ago, now in her sophomore season. Really saw a lot of action working on floor and beam.
And Chelsea Dennis here for Towson on bars. Oh gosh, so pretty in the air, but just mistimed that release on that Jaeger.
And for Yale, you saw Haley Chris wrap up her routine. So team in Yale on beam. Pretty solid to start their day. A team that, again, still trying to put together their higher scores on beam. But again, a very young group, the lowest score so far coming out of a first year, and the very talented Allie Forbes.
Yeah, and oh, just too bad. Chelsea Dennis, just not her day with this release. Getting a look at Jordan Barrow on vault for Penn.
Barrow will be the last to go in terms of the 6. 2 exhibitions for Penn. Also coming in Van Horn and Wu. Scores starting to come in on the vault. 9-6 for Iswell Song and 9-5-7-5 for Sienna Zaccaro. As we mentioned, Barrow getting her chance to work.
And this is a big vault from Barrow. I just love how much distance these Penn vaults are getting from the table. Yes, they do need to work on those landings because every time the deduction is proportionate to the size of the hop or the step that you take. And the judges are really cracking down on that this season. But I really like the building block of those strong dynamics.
Next one again is set to go on the beam for Yale. And it's Elitajian. As we mentioned, Penn 6 wrapping up. 2 more on exhibitions. Olivia Van Horn and Samantha Wu. Last year, it comes in with 9-7. That score is recorded. And then when we mentioned 3 more to go on the floor for Ursinus in this first rotation.
And getting a look here at Olivia Van Horn, and a fun fact, she's a club teammate of Kendall Whitman from George Washington University. We're going to see her do a front pike vault here.
Samantha Wu, the junior from Cupertino, California, Lynbrook High School.
Nice landing there on vault, and really nice first pass for Ellis on floor for Ursinus.
You mentioned Ellis, another one of those sophomores. Deerwood, Maryland, Washington Christian. And a team that we mentioned, probably the most common thing about these 4. Penn may be slightly the outlier, but you're already seeing it through this first rotation, working on the vault. Very young. A lot of these teams have first year sophomores really sprinkled in. Ursinus, no stranger to that. Yale, probably the biggest out of that group. But the same thing with Towson and Penn, really doing an excellent job building these programs.
Oh, 1.5 to front full. Was under rotated on that front full. I like that she's going for that difficulty though. Isabella Minervini getting started for Towson on bars. And check out this huge combination. Tkachev into the pack salto. She struggled with that a little bit on warm-up. Nice to see her hit that.
Minervini, we mentioned, big highlight for Towson on the beam. Tajin for Yale, continuing to work. Again, so far a strong performance on beam.
Another day at the office for Isabella Minervini. She fell last week, very out of character for her. Great to see her hit that routine again. And Toshtin really solid on that back handspring layout step out. She's a really sturdy competitor for Yale. And does that unusual switch jump to the side. I love that.
Minervini for WCGA All-American, as Samantha Wu getting a chance to work. Exhibitions on vault.
And tuck full has that step back, but nice to see Penn, using those exhibition spots to get more experience. And Tashjian, some really nice qualities on beam, did struggle on that side summy, but came back and hit her dismount.
Tashjian ramping things up. And Gigi Sabatini will be the next to work. Final with a 6 for Yale on beam. And as you see scores come in on the Towson side, working bars. And as we mentioned, Minervini just wrapping things up. They will also have an exhibition, but those are the scores through 4, still waiting for the final 2 to be calculated.
And Dennis's score will be the one that they drop. Of course, remember it is 6 up, 5 count, and she had those problems, but a really solid rotation. It will be Towson's best. I'm going to go ahead and predict without seeing Minervini's score. It will be their best score so far this season on bars.
See things for Penn and the Quakers. Still waiting for 5 and 6 to be fully put together for Kirko and Barrow. Both had solid goes of it as well. We mentioned Sky Kirko, who maybe not this one as good as last week, historic, but still reigning gymnast of the week in conference.
Sure, she's a phenomenal gymnast, and just the way, again, it's pretty rare for somebody to come in and upgrade a vault that they've never done before. I love to see that from her. Again, first gymnast in Penn history to do that. So cool.
Yale and Ursinus still going floor and beam.
And this is a fantastic routine on floor. Sydney Schreiber, again, does her own choreography and has great performance quality.
Gigi Sabatini to go on beam for Yale. Junior for Abington Heights, Clark Summit, PA.
A nice high layout step out in combination for Schreiber.
See the Ursinus scores coming in as well. Sydney Schreiber currently on the floor. Megan Matusi will be the last to go for Ursinus.
Yale doing a great job on their acrobatic series, have had really nice chest positions and minimal bobbles on that. Just some dance to clean up throughout the lineup that I'm noticing.
Sabatini, the final one to go on beam for Yale. See that routine currently going on bottom left of your screen. Only 2 events currently going on. Both Ursinus and Yale finishing things up. A little bit of a step there from Sabatini.
Yeah, and just under rotated that 1.5. Didn't get enough rise off the beam, but another really solid hit for Yale.
9.75 last outing for Yale and Sabatini.
And with Schreiber, just her performance quality, like I said, I love it when athletes are creative enough to choreograph their own routines, and held on to that last pass, showed a lot of fight there.
Sydney Schreiber, junior from Franklin Lakes, New Jersey, formerly attending Ramapo High School. Was excellent last year on floor in 2024, 3.97s. A very strong campaign a season ago. But again, this is a team that's trying to build on the blocks that they saw last year and really build into something special. And after their opening week, right now that looks like a very well possibility.
Absolutely. And just while we're waiting for another routine here, a little fun fact I shared that we saw Olivia Van Horn go in exhibition for Penn, 9.75 there. A fun fact, I mentioned she trained club gymnastics with Kendall Whitman. For our hardcore college gymnastics fans, you'll know that Kendall Whitman does the Whitman, that front handspring pike with a half. And Olivia Van Horn is training the front handspring front pike, which is also out of a 10.0. So we may see that later in the season. I think Penn has shared it on social, so go check that out. Really unusual to see that in college gymnastics. And Olivia Van Horn and Kendall Whitman, close friends, and have a really similar style in their gymnastics.
Final 2 to go as Yale is, correction, 2 exhibitions for Yale. Megan Matusi will be the final one to go in this first rotation, currently setting up on floor. Ellie Kearns works in this first exhibition, the first year from Hillsborough, California. Did go in the meet at Cornell, but only went on bars. So first team routine for Kearns as a Yale Bulldog. Matusi, the one to go for Ursinus.
And just didn't have enough momentum coming out of that back handspring on her acrobatic series.
Megan Matusi, the senior from New Mexico.
Nice height on that double back. Looks like Kearns is okay. Tough fall there.
And Matusi going all around in the last go for season high 9.8.
Good job to come back and hit that dismount.
Final score to be counted of this first rotation is Megan Matusi, who works on the floor for Ursinus right here. Evangeline Chu, the next one to go in the exhibitions, but Matusi putting together a solid routine here.
Wow, and really nice control. They've had a few of those 1.5 to front layouts. You could see she's stoked about that one. Really good control out of that pass. Remember, we are looking for those controlled lunges. The lunges should take place in the direction of the tumbling pass. So for forward facing passes, that's taking a step forward. For backward tumbling passes, taking a step backward. And that is really difficult to do, and make sure that you want one foot to be completely planted and taking that step forward, and she did that nicely.
So awaiting the Ursinus score to come in from Matusi. That's the last one to be counted. However, everything else does come in for Penn, leading the way so far through vault. 48.475 is their official mark.
And I do believe Towson will surpass them once Minervini's score comes in, because Dennis had those errors.
And that one does come in as we're talking about it. That will pass it. 49.2 for Towson, as that one does get counted. Minervini in 9.875. Highest of the day for Towson, and as you expected to be the case, they will have one exhibitions, but the scores do come in. Penn now trailing 48.475, second overall. Yale 48.2 with one more exhibition. That's what we see currently in Evangeline Chu, the one on the beam currently, and Ursinus still waiting with Tusi's score, but right now sitting 46 now, 47.525 for Ursinus, 9.8 for Matusi, second one this year.
And Chu doing a nice job so far. Works cleanly through that full turn.
Chu, the sophomore from Sun Cardinal.
And was a little tentative moving in aerial. No problem on the landing. One and a half, nice job. I'd like to see a little more fluidity and connection through that routine, but one of the things that I really liked about that routine is when she had a minor mistake, she took her time and made the correction, and really a lot to build on.
One final exhibition, first rotation. It's Towson on bars. As we mentioned, the scores do come in with Towson leading the way. For Towson, the next one to check in Hallsell will work on the exhibitions. As you get a chance to take a look at how things look scoring-wise. As we mentioned with Towson, 49-2 has the overall lead through the first rotation, followed by Penn, 48.475. Yale, solid go on the beam, 48.2, and their Ursinus on floor, 47.525. You see things right there. And Towson, obviously, really showing off in one of their their best apparatuses. Towson, the Tigers, excellent stuff to start off.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Towson, this is the first time they've broken 49 on bars this season, so they will be really excited about that. As we look at the other teams, Penn
Hopefully you get a
coming in.
chance to take a look at some highlights through the first rotation here from the Palestra. Towson leading the way thanks to a very strong performance on bars. See things right there.
And this is really them hitting their stride. I mentioned they've got a couple meets under their belt. Really nice to see it.
It was led by Isabella Minervini, 9.875, led the way for Towson and the Tigers. Match score by Makasu, and leading the way for Towson, both 9.875s. Then you see things for Yale. Strong performance for them on the beam. We're currently sitting third overall. AC Penn and the Quakers trying to defend things at this senior meet. And Ursinus wrapping things up on floor, finishing 47.525 as a team score.
Yeah, and really nice, as I mentioned, nice performance quality from Ursinus. You see this front layout, front full, good control there, and lots of double salto passes in there. Just had some challenges in some of those their combination passes.
You talk about things on the Penn side. Jordan Barrow with the best overall score from that first rotation for Penn and the Quakers and capped it off right there.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, they're so dynamic on vault. It's just the tenths that are adding up with the landings.
We continue to talk about Towson, believe a season best 49-2 for their team score through one rotation, but through probably their strongest overall apparatus in bars, and really showed out today. Go things into rotation number 2. We went through the team scoring as we get a chance to take a look at how things work in this second rotation. Everybody moving over. Penn moves to bars. Towson to the beam, Ursinus to the vault, and Yale on floor. That's how things will go. And you'll start to see a couple of familiar faces, and Hannah Strauss will kick things off for Yale and the Bulldogs as you got the quad box sighting back set up. As everyone's still waiting to get put together on the other apparatuses, we start with Hannah Strauss.
And I love to watch Hannah on this event. Really lovely form. Oh, just missed her punch in that, out of that twisting element.
Strauss we saw working at leadoff spot a moment ago for Yale on beam. Actually came out with a solid performance as well.
Madison Zimmerman getting set to go here for Ursinus on vault. And a familiar face in this arena, Anna Kennefick, a Penn alum using her 5th year at Towson. Really fun for her to be back.
Kennefick, no better time to return. Back, most people do not get 2 senior meets. Kennefick, in a way, kind of getting 2 here at the Palestra.
Absolutely. Oh, and Lassiter can't hang on to that handstand. Tough break.
Madison Zimmerman will work on vault for Ursinus as Hannah Strauss wraps up her routine on the floor.
And tough break for her on floor. She is capable of being beautiful there, though. Nice control of that landing for Zimmerman on vault. And Kennefick really solid in her acrobatic series. Shy of split on that split quarter, but nice job controlling the landing. And now we're seeing both Penn and Yale in, some difficult situations, really having to rebound at the start of the rotation. So this is a test for them.
At Kennefick, the return to the Palestra.
And a stutter step there on her dismount, but did fall on beam last week. So really nice for her to recover the triple series there. That back handspring layout step out, a highlight for me.
Kennefick, we talked about the Penn grad using her 5th year of eligibility.
And remember, there's no 5th year allowed in the Ivy League. So there have been several Ivy League athletes that have been using their 5th year at different schools. Kennefick following in the footsteps of her teammate, McKaylee Marr, who transferred to Michigan and used her 5th year there.
Next to go, we're making Matusi for Ursinus on vault. And Minervini will be the next one to go on beam. Again, we talked about her in the last rotation. She's someone to highlight whenever she steps into onto an apparatus. And obviously beam, another part for Towson.
And Gigi Sabatini trying to get things back on track for Yale here. Huge Double piked open there. Does go out of bounds, though.
Draw score comes in 8.85 for Hannah Strauss. Lasker 9-2 for Penn on the bars. As Carly Onicki will be the next to go for the Quakers.
And a little short of height on that Tkachev, but keeps things moving nicely.
Mentioned things with Sabatini, the junior from Clark Summit, PA. Abington Heights.
Nice double layout there for Oniki to round out the routine.
Former first team All GC all around selection for Sabatini. Getting a chance to work on the floor here. Minervini also absolutely a big highlight.
A nice connection in that Rudy to straddle jump. Unfortunately, had too much power, will incur several tenths of deduction for that first pass, but I loved the power and the height she had on the double pike. Minervini off to a solid start as well for Towson.
Minervini obviously mainly known for performance on bars, but a person that you'll see with some higher scores on beam. Also go on floor, I believe, also trying to fully become all around with things on vault.
And for Towson, this is a really critical event because they did struggle on beam last week. So it will be really important for their confidence to have a hit rotation here, and they're off to a good start.
Mention the scores that have come in. Kennefic 9-7-5 for Towson. Opening go on beam. Still waiting for Zimmerman score to come in for Ursinus on vault.
And again, nice control on that landing for Ursinus on vault. Megan Matucci there.
Jordan Barrow the next to go for Penn. Working on bars. Aaron Stubbs will be the next to go for Ursinus on vault. Biggest highlight, obviously, later on we'll see Aaron Rowe, who we've highlighted a little bit already on what she could do on vault.
And Barrow doing a really nice job through this routine. Full pirouette into the double back. Has that large step back, but Penn's getting things back on track on bars.
On the floor, Chloe DeJoy starts in her routine.
And this is another athlete from Yale I love to watch. Punch front, double full. Really pretty.
Joy from Mason, Ohio, the sophomore. Starting things up. 9.55 for Sabatini. The last go on floor for Yale. And Onicki for Penn, 9-7. And Joy Barrow also trying to help get them back to the spot where they would like to be after two solid ones for the Quakers. Celia Trotter on the beam for Towson.
Nice height on that layout out of that 1.5 for DeJoy on floor.
Juicy score just came in for Sinus 9-4 for Barron 9-8 on bars.
And Celia Trotter, nice job in her acrobatic series there.
For Sinus, Saren Stubbs.
Yurchenko layout there, some pike towards the end, but really good control overall for these Ursinus athletes. And there, well, you can see she's stoked about that one. As Zara Gazdak for Penn on bars here.
Gazdak senior from the Empire State.
And the Penn fans are going crazy for that one.
Goes back, second teamer. The GEC on the bars. Getting hyped up for the Palestra faithful.
And Trotter, really nice job on that back handspring gainer full. Really pretty beam work from her across the board. I loved that routine.
So far, good start for Towson on being back-to-back 9.75s from Kennefic and Minervini, and Trotter trying to add on to a very strong start for the Tigers. And we mentioned already a great opening rotation for Towson, working on bars. Now trying to back it up on beam.
And you see some of those scores coming in for Ursinus a little lower. Keep in mind the Yurchenko layout that we've seen from some of their athletes starts out of a 9.75, so the deductions are taken from that start value.
Kayla Duffy.
Oh, just missed her hand on the vaulting table. Looks like she's okay, though.
Rounding out the rest of the order for Ursinus on vault. Duffy, it will be Sydney Schreiber and Aaron Rowe, the next two to go. Kylie Ruggiero will be the lone exhibition for the Bears. Megan Brooke works on floor for Yale.
Nice job in that front layout to Rudy as Sophia Paris gets started here.
9.85 for Gazdak for Penn a moment ago on bars. Putting together three pretty good scores back to back 9.7, 9.8, and 9.85.
Oh, and Paris misses her connection to the low bar. Clara Hong with that pretty aerial combo there. I love that. Good recovery from Paris. Just didn't get that connection, but she's a beautiful one to watch.
Mention Megan Pruitt. You see currently a top left of your screen. Cincinnati, Ohio native. Former Ohio State all-around champion. As well as being the runner-up in bars and beam back in her high school days.
And again, good control on that front layout to front full. Clara Hong leaned to hold on to that stick, but she's so pretty to watch on beam. Her aerial combination in particular, the extension she has through her splits is really lovely.
On the senior trying to continue a strong start for Towson on beam. Sugarland, Texas. Sydney Schreiber will be next to go on the vault for Ursinus.
Nice high tucked pull from Sydney. That tucked pull starts at the 9.9. So I mentioned the Yurchenko layout starts at the 9.7. 9.75. So it's really good to see them putting those twisting vaults in, getting those higher start values, and she got a good amount of distance from the table as well, which is something the judges are looking for.
Next one to go for Ursinus is going to be one to highlight in a big way, Aaron Rowe. We've hyped it up quite a bit already. And on the Ursinus squad, she's the one to watch in every event. This one, the highlight out of all of them for Ursinus.
Well, and she's already the Ursinus record holder on vault, 9.825. And I believe we're going to see a Yurchenko 1.5 from her debut. I saw her warm it up. It would be the first Yurchenko 1.5 in Ursinus history as Sky Kiriko rocks that ray on bars.
I was just about to mention Sky Kiriko. You got your heavy hitters on the apparatuses right now. Kiriko getting a chance to work for Penn, Aaron Rowe. To the best you'll see today.
Big, full twisting double back, little hop back. I love how she swings bars, and really at a time where her team needed her after some adversity in Paris's routine.
Kiriko, reigning GAC Gymnast of the Week. Wrapping things up on bars. Clara Hong for Towson a moment ago, 9.9.
And I mentioned how stunning her work is. Just had that lean on her dismount, but really hard to take other things from her routine. Good to see her rewarded for that.
Lauren Keener, the next to go on beam for Towson. And again, excellent start for Towson and the Tigers coming together as A very strong meet for them.
A little low in that front toss from Keener, but hangs on to the connection to the beat jump.
I think Kearns on floor for Yale. And for Shine, as we mentioned, Aaron Rowe getting ready to work.
And Keener wraps up with a really nice gainer full there. Let's see if she goes for it. 1.5. Wow, that was huge. Congratulations to Aaron Rowe. Shout out Division III gymnastics. I really hope the college fans out there are recognizing the amazing gymnastics that's happening, not only at Ursinus, but throughout Division III. I just got chills watching that.
Aaron Rowe, national qualifier last year and school record holder, already on this apparatus, trying to put together another top-tier score at Ursinus.
Isabel Song wrapping up an exhibition here. Nice full twisting double back. Unfortunately, Kearns had that fall on the punch front.
You get the score to come in on bars for Kiriko, 9-9, wrapping things up for Penn on bars. For Sky Kiriko, great week last week, brings in another one today on bars.
Well, in Sky Kiriko, this is one to keep your eye out on. I think she is capable of qualifying 2 NCAA regionals in all around. Beam has been a place where she's been in and out of lineup, so it's really making sure it's, if she's at that point to be in lineups on Beam, she's so strong. So again, somebody to keep your eye on because she's really dynamic across all the events.
Sky Kiriko, top mark of the year, I believe a career best 9-9, but also 5th best mark in Quakers history on the bars. That's tied with a couple of different athletes. However, a top 5 mark in program history, not a bad way to work for Sky Kiriko.
Yeah, Sky Kiriko, what I like about the way that she works bars is she brings her power. You saw that big ray off the top, and that's something you see throughout in her 1.5, in her tumbling on floor. I love the way that she approaches her gymnastics.
Still waiting the scores to come in for Shyness with Rowe and Schreiber. You know, for Rowe, it's going to be a pretty big one. Kylie Ruggiero, the exhibition here for Shyness, getting ready to go. And see the first exhibition in Isabel Song for Penn, 9.775. Sienna Zaccario will be the next to go, currently working for the Quakers.
And short on that handstand on the high bar.
Chelsea Dennis on the beam will be the next to go for Towson. And Towson
takes that double layout. Really nice way to end that exhibition.
Towson will wrap things up for Yale on the floor. 9-6 for Schreiber, just waiting the score for Aaron Rowe. 9.725 for Aaron Rowe for Ursinus.
And that's the first Yurchenko 1.5 that she's done in competition. So she didn't quite make her own mark of 9.825, the school record that she's looking to break herself again. But I think it was really nice. What I liked about that vault is it was controlled, it was fully rotated around, and there's ways for her to build on that in future. Can't wait to see what she does for the rest of the season.
9.525 vault last weekend in competition. Comes in today, does an excellent job wrapping things up for Ursinus. Their score does come in final, 47.375, working on vault. 2 scores still waiting to be calculated. Yale and Towson still waiting for theirs to go final. Penn, a 48.45 in the second rotation. Right now, obviously, the rest of the scores still will need to come in. But Penn, 96.975. That leads the way at this current moment. But still, as we mentioned, Towson and Yale waiting to get their scores finalized.
And a really nice front handspring front tuck there from Ruggiero for Ursinus. She got good height off it. That vault is out of a 9.8.
For Towson, turn things over to the attention of Chelsea Dennis.
And Dennis looking to rebound from an off-bar performance. And 9.525, that's the score they are looking to drop here. Wow, big layout step out there. Her front foot had an adjustment, but again, she made it pretty seamlessly.
Dennis' first chance to go on the beam this year.
And clean aerial work there. Love that sheep jump. You don't see that very often in NCAA gymnastics. And she did a nice job of getting that full head and neck release. Well, that's going to do it. That will definitely beat Lauren Keener's 9.525. Towson's going to be really happy about that rotation.
Wrapping things up on the beam for Towson and Chelsea Dennis. Trying to put a stamp on an already very impressive quad for the Tigers. 2 rotations through. Tashin, lone one to compete, working on the floor. Trying to help Yale kind of cement this rotation. After kind of a tougher start with Strauss, Ellie Kearns maybe not having the outing she would have liked. Tashin has a chance to kind of put a bow on it.
And she's such a powerful tumbler. Nice height on those leaps as well.
Talking about Tashin a moment ago, sophomore from Manchester, Vermont.
And that's another example of one of those nice controlled lunges we're looking for.
Tashin, GC champion on floor last year, as well as the GC newcomer of the year. First team all conference floor as well.
And really nice routine. Again, Yale did have some misses in that rotation, so important routine for them to get back on track.
Need solid scores there for Tashin. Puts together a pretty solid routine as well. Last one set to go for Towson. Final exhibition. Final athlete to compete in this second rotation. It's Felicia Plate. And we'll get a chance to see her routine in full.
And I mean, again, this is the exhibition. So Towson already cleared a 49.15. That is huge for them on beam.
Back to back. Very strong performances for Towson. 49.2 and 49.15 to kick off your first 2 rotations. That's a stellar way to start your evening here from Philadelphia.
And struggled on that connection of the aerial, but I love to see that connection because it's not one we see very often. Clara Hong does it, though, on Towson's team as well.
Hong, an excellent score, 99, highlighting things for Towson as Poblete will continue working in the exhibitions. We'll get you set with the team scoring in just a moment, but Towson obviously massive, 98.35. Team that, again, record chasing.
And just a little hop there. Some really nice qualities. That combination, the aerial combination, a little labored, but really pretty work on the beam.
So wrapping things up, Poblete for Towson. Wrapping things up in exhibitions, a stellar start for Towson and the Tigers, leading things through 2 rotations. You get a chance to take a look at the other scores coming in. Yale, 95.65 overall. There are things on the floor. Good end from Ella Tashian, 47.45 in this second rotation working on floor for Yale and the Bulldogs. I believe you saw Penn in a moment, 48.45, sitting second overall in the field, 96.975 as a team. Ursinus rounding things out, 94.9, 47.375 for Ursinus College as they finish things on the vault. Hyped up, though, from a strong performance for a couple of Bears. Hey, how about Penn putting a good end to their work on the bars. But the highlight, the Towson Tigers working on the beam and leading things here from Philadelphia. And we welcome back to the Palestra. Ursinus just wrapping things up, working on vault. They'll move the bars in the next rotation. Scarily and Christina Chauvenet. Let's talk about things through 2 rotations down. So far, Towson, what a start the Tigers have had here from the Palestra.
Yeah, they are on 196 pace, which is a big number to keep in mind for regionals. Bit of an up and down rotation for Penn on bars. Getting a look at Isabella Minervini here. And had that little step on her gainer full. But really for Towson, because they struggled the week before, for them to come in and hit the rotation like they did 49.15, that was big.
49-2 in their first rotation, working on the bars. For Penn a moment ago, working on bars. Had a better wrap up to it. Struggled a little bit early, but finished very strong. Some solid scores coming in. Similar for Ursinus as well.
Yeah, really nice start for, really nice rotation for Ursinus on vault. Scored about a 10th higher than they did last week. Felicia Poblete here in exhibition. She has some really nice lines. I enjoyed watching her.
You go back to Penn. Sky Kirko, the highlight for Penn and the Quakers, 9-9, wrapping things up.
And this is actually Zara Gazdak, but Sky Kiriko also had a really nice routine as well. Clara Hong, just absolutely beautiful gymnastics. Had that lean forward. I bet that's where that 10th came from. But she is beautiful to watch. 9-9.
The 9-9, we talked about 9-9s for Penn. We talked about one on the Towson side, and also on the Ursinus side, getting a solid score.
And Aaron Rowe there, again, first Yurchenko 1.5 in Ursinus history. An honor for me to commentate, and congratulations to her.
9.725 for Aaron Rowe, and you know, that's just going to continue to boost up. Aaron Rowe, one of the best to do it, or the best to do it on vault for Ursinus, and these things wrapping up with Yale working on floor.
Yeah, and you know, a strong routine from Ella Tashjian to close there. They did have some adversity in the lineup, and so they're really going to be moving to vault, looking to turn that momentum around.
We'll turn our attention to third rotation here from Philadelphia. You're looking back in this one, straight sixes for everyone except Penn. Penn working on being, we'll see a pair of exhibitions with Carly O'Nicky, we've already seen today. Isabel Garrett will also get a chance to work in the exhibitions. But Yale will go to the vault, Ursinus to the bars, Penn to the beam, and Towson to work on floor. And again, Towson, a very strong team overall. Floor is a huge bright spot for the Tigers.
Yeah, I think that Towson, to be honest, right now, they're in the driver's seat of this meet. And just more widely, obviously, because how rankings in NCAA gymnastics work is that you are competing against everybody else in the country every weekend. Records do not matter. So while these teams, yes, of course they want to beat each other, it is a competition, but really it's about how your score is pacing compared to the rest of the country. Towson have scored in the 194s, and when I talked to Coach Jay Ramirez before, he said they had some really good practices coming into this meet. They hadn't had everything come together yet. Now that they're through beam, I think they're going to have a great rest of the meet.
Team very deep coming into the year on floor. However, graduating a little bit of pieces from a season ago on floor. We'll see how things start to piece together. Anna Kennefic, well, you want to talk about someone to bring in and be a huge bright spot on floor. Well, we just saw what she could do on beam. Now works in the leadoff spot on the floor. Haley Cruz will be the one to go for Yale
Just
on vault.
completed her vault there. Drills that double pike.
Marissa Lassiter for Penn getting ready to go on the beam as Kennefic, the Penn grad, returning back to the Balestra. Here on the Quakers senior night, they see a familiar face on the Towson side. Charlotte, North Carolina native, three-time team champion with the Quakers.
And Kylie Pierce on bars for Ursinus. Some leg separation in that fail to handstand, but keeps it moving.
First look at Pierce today, the senior from Lancaster, Massachusetts.
Nice job on that double back on bars, and Kennefic getting such a wonderful reception at Penn. When I talked to Jay Ramirez about Kennefic, he said she just has the best work ethic, came in with a great attitude, and has been a wonderful addition to their team.
And Strauss will be the next to work on vault for Yale. Haley Chris, 9.525. Her score comes in.
That Yurchenko tucked full, starts out of a 9.99. Nice tuck position through that vault. Would have liked to see a little more block, little more height off the table, but good landing.
Lassiter has been a bright spot for Penn.
And I just cannot say enough good things about Marissa Lassiter. Has really worked her way into the beam lineup. I love how dynamic her gymnastics is. And just, she's such an energetic athlete on and off the floor.
Lassiter, 9.8. Start off her season.
Oh, and I just jinxed her there. Gets lost on that wolf turn. Tricky turn to do on beam. Handles the dismount well, but disappointing routine for her. Again, still new to the beam lineup, so I think we're going to see her improve that consistency.
Kennefic score comes in 9.675. Starting things off for Towson, 9.6 for Strauss on the vault. As Yale will continue with Lee Alcoin. Isabel the crew on the floor for Towson.
And has to crunch that vault down in the latter half of the twist. Just didn't get the rise she needed from the table.
The crew, another new Tiger, transfer from Illinois State.
Nice job on that double back.
Former multiple-time all-conference selection in the MIC. Doing so on the floor, second team all-conference. Warrenton, Virginia native, grad student, hailing prior to ISU from Killen, Virginia. Lauren Coleman the work on bars for Ursinus. And that coin, as we mentioned for Yale, the crew.
Nice handstand out of that Maloney. Little short of the swing on the Maloney. I love that old school release from high to low, though. And nice handstand. And the toe on, again, that's not something you see very often in college gymnastics. Really cool routine composition there for Lauren Coleman.
Lauren Coleman wrapping things up on the bars, and as well, same time, Isabel DeCrew on floor for Ursinus, for Towson, excuse me. Coleman for Ursinus, wrapping things up a moment ago. As we'll see how the Tashian go in just a second.
There you go. That's what Yale was looking for in their vault. Gets those nice dynamics that block off the table. I know I sound like a broken record, but the block is really important. That's that push you get off the table that really sets you up for the rest of the vault. She did a nice job there. In addition, she's doing the laid out version of the vault. We saw some tucked Yurchenko fulls in earlier positions in the lineup, so you get that 9-9-5 start as opposed to the 9-9 for the tucked full.
Good barrel, the one to work on beam for Penn. Again, so much depth all around for Penn, but seeing a lot of familiar faces in the all around. And Barrow adding on to that. Their strong performance a little bit earlier on in the first rotation. Getting ready to go for Ursinus, the senior from Los Ranchos, New Mexico, and Megan Matusi.
And Barrow, huge back handspring layout step out. I love how the layout step out rises higher than the back handspring.
Califati for Towson to go in a moment. The crew score comes in, back-to-back 9-6-7-5s for Towson. Lassiter, 9-2-5 for Penn, 9-2-7-5 on the bars for Kaylee Pierce. And Yale, 9-2-2-5 for Lily Alcoin. Tashdon, 9-6-2-5 just got scores. You saw things ramp up with Jordan Barrow.
A nice way to rebound for Penn on bars. On beam, excuse me.
Tusi, the one to work here. Coach Kim Valenti had a lot to say about the New Mexico native. What she brings as a senior leader, but also, again, just so many works.
Yeah, absolutely. And also we saw Gigi Sabatini with another nice Yurchenko full for Yale. For Ursinus, when I talked to Kim Valenti, did tell me that they had to make quite a lot of adjustments to their bar routines with the code of points changes. I like to see how they're composing these routines to play to their gymnast strengths.
Carmela Califati saw just wrap things up. Excellent finish to her routine.
And Towson has really powerful it's all about the paraphernalia that you get for sticking, for having a great routine. They've got their Towson chain there, and they always are really high energy on floor, really fun to watch.
Tiger chain. See, I wouldn't really know the feeling of sticking a landing, but I could tell you it would probably feel a whole heck of a lot better if someone comes out with big Towson chain to put around your neck.
Exactly.
Move things over to the beam with Fofana for Penn.
And Monty, one of those athletes that's had such an impact for Penn off the bat in her freshman season.
Fofana, 9-7-2-5 in the first rotation.
And tough break for her there on that back handspring layout step out.
For Yale, wrapping things up right there with Megan Brewitt.
That handspring front pike, nice height off the table. Does tuck her knees a little early, so she'll get a deduction there. But overall, nice job.
Brianna Duffy for Ursinus working on bars right here.
Nice connection in those release moves.
Duffy, the junior from Howard High School, Maryland.
The step back on the dismount, but really nice set for Duffy on bars.
Aaron Rowe will be the next to go on bars for Ursinus. You see ramping things up for Fana.
And, again, tough break on that back handspring layout step out. It was big in the air, just was off in her back handspring, I think. And Clara Hong, the same qualities that I love to watch her on beam, she shows on floor as well. Really lovely stretch in those split positions.
9-9 on beam we saw just a moment ago. Now switches over to work on floor for Clara Hong, the senior from Sugar Land, Texas, Pearland High School. High score of the day with a 9-9 on beam. Try and continue to bring that success into things on floor.
And look at how much height she gets on that whip full. Toes are pointed throughout. Beautiful.
Clara Hong wrapping things up on the floor. 2 more left to go for Towson. It's Isabella Minervini to work on floor. And Polina Bilovinsky. As Penn still with few to go on a beam. You get a chance to take the scores as Yale finishing things up on vault. 48 flat team score on that one. Highlight performance from Gigi Sabatini, 9.725.
Yeah, and I think both of those vaults, Tashin and Sabatini, doing those Yurchenko laid out fulls, which were really nice.
On the Yale side, Gigi Sabatini, team high score this year, and just a little bit away from a 9-8 earlier on, as Penn will turn with Sky Kirko working on beam, excuse me.
And similar to some of her teammates, really nice dynamics in that jump series, but was pretty far off on the split jump. Holds on to it, though.
9-3 in her last go of it on beam.
And does that difficult punch front, one of those E-rated elements. Remember, skills in college rated A to E, E being most difficult. A lot of fight in that routine. She is going to incur some deductions for that jump that was off and a couple other places in the routine. But again, strong fight throughout the routine. And I think she's going to continue to grow in her confidence on that event.
Sky Kirko already a excellent start to the career. And the junior from the Jersey Shore in Toms River, New Jersey. Toms River North, a former Mariner. GC Gymnast of the Year last year. As Aaron Rowe works on the bars for Ursinus.
Yes, and Aaron Rowe about to mount bars for Ursinus.
So Towson currently on the floor is Isabella Minervini, who we've talked extensively about.
Rowe just hit a great Ginger. Minervini doing a nice job through this routine.
Minervini, the former All-American on the bars.
And Aaron Rowe wraps up with a nice double layout. Isabella Minervini, I've had the pleasure of commentating for her many times throughout her career. Just so much confidence in her gymnastics, and Towson really just on a roll.
So for Minervini, 2 more to go in this rotation for Towson. Floor currently looking like their lowest score of the day, but breaking 49 on each of their previous 2. An excellent start for the Towson Tigers. Penn working on beam, still a couple to go. We saw Sky Kiriko a moment ago. Mimi Fletcher next on the docket. Still waiting Kiriko's score to come in, as it does. 9-4 for Sky Kiriko. Season best for Kiriko on the beam. And Aaron Rowe, we mentioned, saw a second ago for Ursinus. Kylie Ruggiero next to go. Team best score, 9.325 on the season.
A nice save from Fletcher on beam. You saw that front foot come up.
Mimi Fletcher, first look at her on the day. Freshman from Mountain View, California, Mountain View High School.
A nice combination there in that switch split to split jump combo. That is one way that gymnasts build their difficulty on beam is through those connections. Lovely dismount. That was the highlight of the routine for me. She really had great air awareness, knew where she was as she was coming into the landing. And that's the thing about the stick. You can't force it. You really just have to set the mechanics up so that your body's in a good position and let it happen. And that's what we saw there.
So Mimi Fletcher with a strong finish there. You see Kylie Ruggiero working on the bars for Ursinus.
Yeah, and just wrapping up her routine. Nice finish for Ursinus.
Also get a chance to take a look quickly as Samantha Wu stepping back on the beam. Gets a quick talk from head coach Kirsten Becker. 4 seasons here at Penn have been an eventful 4 seasons for this Quakers program. As we mentioned, 3 straight looking for a 4th straight GEC team title. And all of them would come under head coach Becker.
Absolutely. And also, as I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Coach Becker has said that the goal of this team is to qualify to NCAA regionals. No Ivy team has ever qualified for NCAA regionals, and they have been in striking distance trying to build on that momentum.
And you saw a part of it kind of last week with competing against a team like Rutgers, a team like Towson as well, and coming within striking distance of both of them.
Well, they beat Towson last week.
So showing that this is a team very well, right now, capable of doing that. A team in Towson last year, a NCAA regional qualifier.
As Polina Belanovsky gets started here for Towson, and wow, she did a great job there because she was pretty low on that landing, but hung on to it.
Belanovsky working on floor here, as we mentioned. First appearance on the floor this season. The junior from Brookfield, Wisconsin.
I like her positions on that switch side Popa. She didn't rotate early on that, really held that switch side.
Samantha Wu working on the beam for Penn. Last 2 to be scored in this rotation. Penn have a pair of exhibitions that we'll see in just a moment. Get you a scoring update in just a sec. As you see, our sinus scores coming in. As Wu continues to work on the beam.
And really nice final pass. I love that layout step out from Belanovsky.
Belanovsky ran things out for Towson on floor. Samantha Wu continue to work for Penn.
And Wu goes for that difficult sheep jump as well. Has been a bit tentative throughout this set, which I think is typical when there are mistakes before you, wanting to make sure they count a hit. And she fought through that. It's a tough rotation for Penn.
For Penn, scored in a moment. Fletcher, I love that group. 9.875 for Mimi Fletcher. But, right, a tough rotation for Penn working on beam. They still have 2 more exhibitions to look at as well. They'll also wait the score for her on the floor for Towson, but 2 to be updated. 48 flat for Yale on the vault and 46-7 for Ursinus on the bars. The 2 leaders after 2 rotations was Towson and Penn. Right now, Penn still having the lead over Yale, just waiting to see by how much if the Wu score would be counted over the Lassiter and 9.25. And Ursinus rounding out the pack 1-4-1 for Towson. Again, still Belanovsky's score, but 46-9-7-5, that leads the way.
Well, and for Ursinus, they really improved on what they did in week one. On week one, on bars, they went 45-125, and you just saw them improve that by a point and a half. So that's a really great improvement for them.
That's something that we did get a chance to hear on the Ursinus side. Coach Valenti mentioned it was bars and beam, the two kind of biggest things to work on going into this one. And bars, well, you just saw it, absolutely did that.
And I think that, as we mentioned, Valenti made some changes to routine composition in accordance with the code of points, which is updated every year with different valuation of elements, new requirements, things of that nature. It affected the dismount combinations and how gymnasts can build their difficulty through dismount. And so some of the gymnasts are working through new skills and new ways that their routines are put together. And so it's really great to see them build on what they did last week.
Belanovsky's score comes in 9-7 flat for Belanovsky, so will be counted. 48.65 in that rotation for Towson on the floor. Carly Onicki will be the one to go in this first exhibition for Penn. Isabella Garrett will round things out in a moment, but you get a chance to see the scores counted for Penn. 47.675 as a team through their third rotation, currently trailing Towson now by almost 2.5 full points. Towson leading away 147 flat through three rotations.
And really nice back handspring layout step out, that really popular series that we see throughout NCAA gymnastics. And though these exhibitions do not count towards the team sport, it gives these athletes a chance to get their routines out there. For the individual, it gives them an opportunity to fight for a spot in the lineup. Gainerful, that was she did a really nice job, particularly with her series. And it's an opportunity to turn that momentum around too for the team as they move into floor, which will be their final rotation.
Well, we mentioned Penn kind of in a spot needing it. It was not the strongest third rotation. Did see some bright spots, and Onicki trying to bring in some more bright spots, but needing a much bigger final rotation for Penn and the Quakers.
Yeah, and speaking of bright spots, I mean, Mimi Fletcher, that 9875, she's got lovely toe point, lovely lines. I see a bright future for her in college gymnastics.
For Mimi Fletcher, already had the team best score on the year. Only, and granted, I say that we're very early on to the year, but adds on to it. 9.875 breaks her previous best from last week. You see Isabel Garrett next to go on the beam.
And Garrett, one of those seniors that they are honoring tonight.
Garrett hailing from Sherborne, Massachusetts. One of two Garretts on this squad. Marigold as well. They
Yeah,
feed Isabel here.
they are twins, and I was joking with Coach Becker because they've recruited quite a lot of multiples at Penn Gymnastics. Graduated Anna and Sarah Kennefic last year, have the Garrett twins this year, and have had McKaylee and Campbell Marr, not twins but sisters. And so it's fun to see these sisters competing, and it's a family affair at Penn.
I joke about it in other sports. It's an Ivy League thing. You look at Penn as well. Sophie Friedman, her sister playing at Yale as well. I wish, as a twin myself, it would have led to some positive athleticism. It did not in my case, but we see one half of the Garrett twins and Isabella start things off on the beam. Still await the score for Carly Onicki as well. As we'll get set for the final routine of this third rotation. Almost wrapped up with things on this senior night meet for Penn. It's been a very strong early season outing for Towson and the Tigers. Penn trying to close out. They will get a chance to do so on floor following Garrett's routine on the beam.
And it's always a nice moment when we can see seniors celebrated. These athletes work so hard. And lots of Penn family and friends and some of the Penn alumni in the stands tonight.
Need the first chance for Garrett to work as a Quaker on the beam.
And we talked about that exhibition spot. Carly Oniki's score coming in 9.85. That is huge. That would have been the second highest score of the Penn beam lineup. So she's making a case for herself to crack into that scoring lineup next week.
And again, you score like that. You never, obviously, it's a team. Everybody wants everyone to succeed, but also you get 9.85 and someone else is hovering a little low. The score is already. That would have been the second highest on the Penn side today.
Well, and it's tricky because, we don't see what goes on in practice. We don't know, the consistency in the gym, but certainly hitting that under pressure is really lovely. Check out this combo. Handstand, step down, layout, step out, shades of Morgan Lane for our old school gymnastics fans out there. Love that combination.
Garrett, former runner-up in Massachusetts on the beam back in high school.
A nice split half there. Well, a lovely routine on senior night. She's got to be so proud of herself. And again, really unusual the step down to layout, step out, layout, step out. I haven't seen that since I commentated at UNC for Morgan Lane, and it's been a few years.
Isabella Garrett putting a wrap on things in the third rotation after 3. Going to the fourth rotation in just a moment. Towson and the Tigers leading the way as Garrett rounds things out on the beam. You get a chance to take a look at what has been seen so far. Towson and the Tigers firing up after 3 rotations, leading the way here from Philadelphia. Come back to you in a moment on ESPN Plus. Here from Philadelphia. Let's welcome you back to the Palestra. Garen Lee, Christina Chauvenet. And Christina, well, talking about things from that third rotation. Right now, Towson leading the way. A little bit down from the previous 2 rotations, but trying to keep up. Another strong performance for Towson Tigers. You see things for Yale as well. Also coming back with a solid work on fall.
Yeah, and remember, as I mentioned, because the scoring is done nationally, these teams are really competing against themselves to build on their scoring potential. Towson had a solid rotation. They did have a couple of dance elements. I think they got deducted for it. Some landing issues here or there, but they are then moving to vault where they can end on a really strong note. Yale had some really nice full twisting Yurchenkos towards the end of the lineup, but it was Ursinus who improved the most from last week. Check out that toe on dismount, little stumble on the landing, but nice job.
46-7 for Ursinus on the bars. You see things for Yale a moment ago. And then for Penn on the beam. This is one where trying to finish off this meet strong kind of struggled in that rotation.
Yeah, they did have to count some falls in on beam. They are moving to floor, though, which is always fun to perform at home. And so they have an opportunity to end this meet on a really good note.
Get you set for the fourth rotation here from Philadelphia. Let's give a little bit of a shout out to this crowd in a second as we take a look at the scores after 3 rotations. Towson, a very strong start in their first two rotations. Second one a little bit down, but still very good possibility for a good team score here today. 147 through 3. Penn coming second overall on the field, 144.65, followed by Yale and Ursinus rounding out things through 3 rotations. But also, you mentioned Penn going on the floor. They've already heard multiple times this crowd really bring in a good environment and really make their presence known for Penn already on a couple of good landings on the beam, as well as when they're on bars, were absolutely electric.
Yeah, and speaking of bars, have to shout out Zara Gazdag. Got her career high on senior night, 9.85. Really nice to see. We've seen or are going to see at least one routine from every senior on this Penn team. Great way to celebrate them.
We still will see the other Garrett get a chance to go out on the floor. Isabella Garrett was the one to go in the last rotation on beam, finish things off. Marigold Garrett will also get a chance to work on the floor. Starting things off, Alyssa Rosen. First chance to see her on this evening's meet. Rosen will start things off on the floor for Penn. Ariana Ellis on the beam for Ursinus. Lauren Holt for Yale on the bars. And Adriana Hoffman will start on the vault for Towson.
And for Yale on bars, this was the event that they struggled the most with last week. So really important for them to rebound, have a nice performance that will have them ending the meet on a really nice note.
As we mentioned, Rosen starting things off on the floor for Penn and the Quakers. Junior from Massapequa, New York. Floor career high, 9.825. Second team All Ivy on the beam back in 23.
And nice big full from Hoffman there on vault for Towson. Just a hop in place, but a controlled landing.
Hoffman hailing from Christiansburg, Virginia. And we mentioned Ariana Ellis working on the beam for Ursinus. Lauren Holt still awaiting her chance to work on the bars. Lauren Holt, top performer on the bars last time out for Yale.
And round off back tuck, love that combination on beam. Goes for that tricky double turn, hangs on to it.
Ellis, the sophomore for Deerwood, Maryland. Rosen wrapping up on floor.
And I love that dismount for Holt on bars. Don't see those flyaway twists very often. And a fun start for Rosen on floor as well.
Lauren Holt, the junior from Rochester, Michigan. Starts things off for Yale, team that had a better performance in the last rotation. Ursinus and Yale both showing up pretty well a moment ago. The Emma Davies in a moment on the floor for Penn. As Rosen just wrapping up, you see things wrap up with Ariana Ellis.
Wow, I love that performance from Ellis on beam. Lots of difficulty in that routine. Not everything went perfectly in the routine, but capped it off with a wonderful dismount, and I love the difficulty she's going for.
We'll wait the scores to come in from the first throw in this final rotation. And await next if Felicia Poblade for Towson work on the ball.
And while we're in this moment of calm amidst the chaos, gotta shout out my dad, Yale alum, class of redacted. I know he's tuning in and cheering on the Bulldogs.
One score does come in that moment. Holds 9.725.
Great way for them to start the rotation.
Lauren Liu from the aforementioned Yale Bulldogs.
And rocks that handstand on the low bar.
Emma Davies going on the floor as Lauren Liu.
Wow, Liu just did an amazing routine. Great to see her mobbed by her teammates there.
Rosen's score comes in 9.65. Lauren Liu, excellent routine there on the bars. Two solid starts for Yale.
Another senior here, Emma Davies. Having fun with this floor routine. As we saw Felicia Poblete doing a nice job with that full-on pike off.
Davies, you mentioned another member of this Penn senior class. Denmark High School down in Georgia. We're a first team all conference on the floor last year for Penn.
Tough break on beam for Ursinus.
Megan Matusi, who we've seen quite a bit today. For Lauren Liu, excellent score to come in, 9.925 on the bars as Gigi Sabatini will be the next to go. The two very good performances to start from Lauren Holt and Lauren Liu for Yale.
A nice Tkachev to overshoot combination. Great double back to end there for Davies. Yale on fire on bars. We're seeing some great gymnastics here in this final rotation.
Gigi Sabatini for Yale. 3 up. 3 pretty good scores likely for Yale. Already 2 great ones. See what comes in for Sabatini. Isabella Minervini, the one to work on the vault for Towson.
And they have a couple of athletes doing that full on. She's psyched about that one. Doing that full on pike off. Tricky to get that all the way around. Although a fun fact is that as it's written in the code of points, we call it a full on, but you only have to get it rotated 3/4 of the way around. I think she did that there. And just Emma Davies, we had a chance to talk with Coach Becker about the senior class. Emma really likes country music, did that country floor routine, and so wonderful to see her celebrated at this home crowd and nailed that double back to close.
The Quakers, a deep senior class. Davies being one of them. I mentioned both the Garretts, Isabella and Margot. We'll both see them go in exhibitions here on the floor. Their Gazdak, who we've seen quite a bit today, as well as Israel Song and Olivia Van Horn, being honored here this evening. We'll have a presentation of senior night as well as the awards following the conclusion of things in action as Ellie Kearns on the bars.
Ellie Kearns just caught that Jaeger release move too close to the bar. Difficult to get swing out of it.
Sabatini 9.725 and Minervini 9.625 for Towson.
And Marissa Lassiter, such a treat to watch on floor. She is a performer.
Davies got a 9.6. Touch more on that in a moment. As Reese Tolan, first outing today.
A nice distance on that Yurchenko full. She does land with 1 foot on that line. Little directional issue there, though that is not codified in terms of how much deduction is taken on the line compared to floor where it's a fixed amount.
On the beam for our Ursinus, Isabella Scarpetti. 1 currently to go.
Floaty backhand spring layout step out there. Marissa Lassiter just showing it off on floor. Tricky switch split combination there on beam.
Marissa Lassiter rounding out her performance on the floor.
And difficult break for Scarpetti, going for that punch front on beam, under rotated unfortunately, but she's got some great qualities on this event. And Marissa Lassiter just puts on a show every time she's on the floor.
Lassiter trying to get this Quaker crowd something to cheer about. Definitely did with that performance. Next to go will be Alma Fafana, who we've seen quite a bit this evening as well. Already shown a whole lot of positives. Ava Harper next to go for Towson. Fofana, we saw a 9.725 on the vault to start off the day. Ava Harper next to go for Towson.
And another really nice Yurchenko full. That showed great control. Probably just bounce in place that'll incur a 0.5 deduction, but nice line throughout the vault, kept her hips extended throughout that full twist.
And Polina Belanovsky will be the final to go for Towson as the Tigers look to wrap up their trip to Philadelphia in this final rotation. Fofana will be the one to go next on floor for Penn. 9.825 for Lassiter in her performance. And Lily Alcorn will go for Yale on the bars.
I love watching Lily on bars. Big double pike for Fofana on floor. Oh, just mistimed that release, I think, into the double back, had to stumble back, but holds on to the dismount on bars.
Alcorn, the sophomore from the Woodlands, Texas. As Belanovsky look to wrap things up for Towson.
Nice 1.5 to front layout on floor. A hop back, but Towson is really getting good height off the vaulting table. They're going to be really pleased with that rotation.
We'll wait the score to come in for Belanovsky. Right now, 48.475 in this rotation for Towson. And Sydney Schreiber will go on the beam for Ursinus. The fan working on the floor. And Chloe DeJoy will work for Yale in a moment.
Monty, again, one of those athletes that has such a bright future at Penn. Sydney Schreiber doing the dismount. Nice control of that landing.
So Erin Rowe will be next to follow Sydney Schreiber. And Schreiber wrapping things up there. You go to Chloe DeJoy working top right of your screen on the bars. Sky Kirko will be next to work for Penn.
Oh, gosh. And, I was just going to say, look at the height on that pike. Jaeger took it out a little too far and couldn't hang on to the bar, unfortunately. I will say unfortunately, they have 4 really solid routines. They are currently, though, counting an 8.85 from Ellie Kearns. So important in this situation for her to get back up and finish the routine strong.
Join the final score to be counted for Yale. For Towson, on the other hand, 48-6 is where they round out their final rotation. 195-6, the final team score to this moment for Towson. And for Fofana, it's 9-7 on her mark as DeJoy ramps things up.
Yeah, tough break for her because that Jaeger was so pretty in the air. But some real highlights in that bar rotation for Yale.
Sky Kirko working floor for Penn, a junior from Toms River, New Jersey. Toms River North High School, the GC Gymnast of the Year a season ago. All-around champion at GEC's. First teamer on floor, first teamer in every apparatus for the Quakers. And Erin Rowe will work on the beam. You'll wait the score to come in for DeJoy to see how things go for Yale. Kirko, first Gymnast of the Year award recipient since? Any guesses?
Since probably herself last season is what I would guess.
Well, before her, it was head coach Kirsten Becker.
There you go.
Named 2024 Gymnast of the Year in the GEC. And then for head coach Becker, It was back in the ECAC days.
There you go. Just shy on that double back.
Erin Rowe waiting for her chance to go on the beam. Get a full look at Sky Kiriko's performance.
She's has really great performance quality on floor. Came in short on that double back. I talked about those controlled lunges wanting to be taken in the direction that the tumbling is moving. That double back, she had to take a step forward, but finessed the landing.
See the final scores for Towson in this fourth rotation. 48-6 rounds out their day. 195.6 on the team scoring. Highlighted on the vault by a pair of 975s, but most importantly, the Ava Harper 985.
And Charlotte Zahn for Yale in exhibition here. I had a chance to go to one of the Yale practices this fall, and she really caught my eye because of this combination right here. She does that Stalter work, really nice toe point. Hopefully we'll see her work her way into the scoring lineup.
For Yale, it was two excellent starts. Lauren Holt and then the best of the bunch, and Lauren Liu, 9925 for Liu on the bars, but kind of losing a little bit of steam late to join Kern's tough performances on their goes.
And Liu, just a 1/4 of the Yale program record. That belongs to Reagan Walker, Yale grade, and she was a phenomenal bar swinger.
Erin Rowe works on the beam as Sarah Gazdak round out the scoring for Penn.
A nice stretch in those split positions on that tricky switch split combination on beam.
Gazdak, another member of this senior class.
And man, can she tumble front through to double back.
Second teamer all GEC on floor last year. Gazdak, the New York City native. As Erin Rowe wraps things up on the beam.
And Erin Rowe, again, known for her vault, but wow, really dynamic beam performance as well as that difficult triple series, switch split combination. I love to see it.
Gazdak will round out the scoring for Penn. Yale and Towson wrapping things up. Haley Chris working on bars.
And makes that smooth connection in the Maloney to Pack Salto. Gazdak drills the landing on that double pike. And a nice double layout for Chris of Yale as well. And just lovely to see the support and emotion for these seniors on senior night. Gazdak has contributed so much to this Penn program over her time.
We had two more seniors to go for Penn. And a pair of twins, as well Garrett, who we saw a moment ago, and Marigold Garrett, will be the final two to go on the Penn side. Wrapping up this senior meet for Penn and the Quakers, as one left to go to be scored for Ursinus. Hey, it's Maddie Zimmerman. Get a full look at Zimmerman. Senior from New Berlin, PA. Mifflinsburg Area High School.
And Ursinus does have a couple of scores in the 8s they are trying to drop. So current score to drop is 8-5. Nice aerial backhand scoring combination. That can be tricky doing those front to back combinations, but she connected it smoothly.
Score comes in for Erin Rowe, 9-7. Just a moment ago, Haley Chris, 9-7-2-5 in the exhibition. As Marigold Garrett will get set to go on floor for Penn. Zimmerman trying to finish off the scoring, the big bright spot for the Bears of Ursinus College.
Wow, that is very rare to see in college gymnastics. The Liukin, named after 2008 Olympic champion Nastya Liukin, as Garrett gets going with a wonderful first pass on floor.
See things finish off for Madison Zimmerman. We're going to follow up Rose 9-7 with a solid score and very much saw it with clean.
Clean second pass there, the front full to front layout.
See things with the Quaker scores, bottom of your screen. Both the Garretts getting a chance to go in the exhibitions. This one is Miracle. Ursula Lassiter really showing out on the floor. Good all around rotation for Penn.
Goes for that difficult double back to close there. Good for her. And one of the things that Coach Becker shared with us about Isabella and Marigold is that they are both really into Broadway, bring that nice performance quality out, which is fun to see.
For Marigold Garrett, first appearance in a meet since back in 2022. But a part of 3 GEC championships while here at Penn. And today, as a part of the senior meet, getting a chance to go on the floor. Career high 9-8. We'll see what the score comes in for that. As Lucy Warborn will get a chance to work on the beam. First of 2 exhibitions for Ursinus. Also see Lily Sanders as well as Isabel Garrett get a chance to work in a moment. Score comes in for Madison Zimmerman, 9-7-5. So an excellent finish to the beam routine for Ursinus. 9-7 from Rowe, 9-7-5 from Zimmerman, 9-4-7-5 before that from Sydney Stryver.
Wow, these are really cool series we're seeing from Ursinus on beam. I love the variety they're bringing to this beam lineup. And floor getting started as well.
Isabel Garrett will be the one to wrap things up on the floor for Penn. Just see her first pass.
Nice control in that 1.5 to front layout.
Isabel Garrett we saw go a moment ago, 9-6-2-5 working on beam.
Lovely double pike from Garrett.
Lucy Warburton ramping things up on the beam.
Really strong end to the beam lineup there for Ursinus, including that exhibition.
There's a pair of 9-7, so 9-7, 9-7-5 from Rowan Zimmerman. And then Warburton adding on to that, we'll see Lily Sanders wrap things up in today's meet in just a second on the beam. But Isabella Garrett for Penn finishing the routine here.
Same pass as her sister ended with, that double back. Well, and I can see what Coach Becker was talking about with these sisters and their interest in musical theater, because the musicality in this performance was really exceptional.
Her sister is 9-5-2-5 a moment ago. And Isabella Garrett getting her score to come in just a moment. Lily Sanders will round things out. Final exhibition, as we'll talk about the team scoring in just a moment as well. But a quality early season meet for Towson, coming off a kind of tough one last weekend. They come in, were excellent in the first 2 rotations, kind of died down a little bit in the finish, but comes in 195.6. Very strong performance today for the Tigers.
Yeah, and they really did have solid third and fourth rotations, just not quite the knocking out of the park level that we saw from their first two rotations. They're going to be really happy with this performance. Their first time in the 195s, 195.6 this season.
In fairness, you're absolutely right. You look at 48.6 working on fall and say, hey, not a bad score by any means, but it's not the 49s that you're getting to start things off as Lily Sanders gets to go on the beam.
And to be honest, I thought some of Towson's scores could be higher on vaults. I don't have the best angle here, so the judges might have caught something that I didn't.
High from Ava Harper, 9.85 per 9.75 from Hoffman and Vilinovsky. As Sanders gets a chance to work here.
And the front toss into the back tuck, I love that combination. That is an example, though, of where the judges likely will not give her credit for that connection because she hesitated. Between the front toss, she had a little wobble, so had to center herself before going into the back tuck.
Sanders from Auburn, Alabama.
And does that straddle half from the side of the beam, which is unique.
Lily Sanders for Ursinus.
Just didn't get that punch off the beam to get the dismount around, but some really nice elements throughout that routine.
Lily Sanders will wrap things up as we'll wait the scores to come in on the final two exhibitions for Isabella Garrett and Lily Sanders. But first, let's take a look at the team scoring overall. With Towson leading the way, well, Towson taking things in this quad, 195.6 final for Towson and the Tigers. Followed by Penn and the Quakers, as we'll take a look at this Palestra faithful as well with Penn, 193.25. They go final, second overall on the field. Yale, 191.5. Strong end for Yale and Ursinus 188.525. Finishing the bottom of this four. But again, for Ursinus and Yale, both coming off strong weekends to start, definitely looked at things today. A lot to look forward to the rest of the year.
Yeah, and we talk about pacing against yourself. Towson improved their meet score from last week by over a point, getting into that 195. Ursinus last week, 186.825. So you see a big jump there as well. They're going to be really happy with this meet. Yale and Penn, not at the scoring thresholds that they were last week. There were some real bright spots throughout both of those teams' rotations, but just not the consistency around. They both had to count some mistakes across. So something to build on as they move forward. Again, it's January. So, as we think about moving into national qualifying score, there are lots more opportunities to improve.
For Towson, leading the way 195.6. Major improvement from their last go of it. They take first here at the Penn Quad. Ursinus, a massive boost, as you were mentioning. Look to a lot of positives after winning their opening meet. They come today and beat that score from last week. Yale also just a little bit below from last week, and Penn the same, but Penn coming second overall, and Yale and the Bulldogs third overall in the finish. That will do it for us up here. However, stick around as we'll throw things down to the mat and get you set with the awards presentation as well as Penn honoring their senior class. But for us here on this side, actually, we'll take just a quick step off. Towson and the Tigers taking things here from Philadelphia. From things this evening is Towson and the Tigers taking things in the overall team scoring. Talk about the all-around performances as well. Minervini for Towson, 39 points for her squad, working all around. Sky Kiriko as well as Gigi Sabatini, second and third all around scoring. As you get a chance to take a look at the team overall, scoring Towson again. Excellent work today. 195.6, bouncing back after kind of a tougher weekend last week. But also Ursinus and Yale both having quality goes. Penn a little bit down, Yale a little bit down, but Ursinus a huge bump for them from last week after winning their meet last week.
Yeah, and also just a wonderful opportunity to celebrate the Penn seniors on senior night. Got to see at least one routine from this entire class. So, congratulations to those Penn seniors. Yes, there are things to build on, but a great meet to watch overall.
Worth mentioning the senior class for everyone on this side. And you talk about for Ursinus, Daria Gregory, Megan Matusi, Kylie Pierce, as well as Scarpetti, Aaron Stubbs, Addison Tunge, as well as Maddie Zimmerman. Mainly Ricky, who's joined the coaching staff as a student assistant, also a part of things for Sinus for Yale. Three with Orion Avid, Nadia Adratu, and Claire Q for Towson, a seven-person senior class, and a Kennefic returning to the Palestra today, as well as the crew, Felicia Poblete, a New Jersey native right across the bridge from Medford, Stephen Makusu, as well as Lauren Keener, Claire Hong, and Mia Davis for that Penn senior class, rounding things out a class of six: Emma Davies, Isabel Garrett, Marigold Garrett, Zara Gazdak, Isabel Song, and Olivia Van Horn. We will hear them be announced in just a little bit, as well as the award ceremony in just a moment. As with that, we'll send things down to the PA voice of the Palestra in Rich Con just a second. Before myself, Garen Aline, my broadcast partner, Christina Chauvin, we say so long, and we'll talk to you very soon, as this has been a presentation of College Gymnastics on ESPN Plus. All games streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of the Ivy League on ESPN.
From Yale, Ella Towson. And in first place with a score of 9.825. From Penn, Ursinus. All-around results. In third place with a score of 38.450 from Yale, Gigi Sabatini. In second place with a score of 38.675 from Penn, Sky Miracle. And in first place with a score of 39.00 from Towson, Isabella Minervini. Here are the results of our fourth and final rotation. Towson on vault, 48.60. Yale on bars, 47.850. Ursinus on beam, 46.925. And Penn on floor, 48.60. So your final team totals. In fourth place, with a score of 28.525, Ursinus. In third place, with a score of 191.50, Yale. In second place, with a score of 193.250, Penn. And in first place, with a score of 195.60, Towson. Don't forget to pick us your back here in Towson on Friday, March 14th. We'll take on the West Virginia Mountaineers at 6 o'clock. Tickets are on sale at penathletics.com/tickets. Our senior ceremony Ladies and gentlemen, the gymnastics program would like to recognize its 6 seniors for their hard work and dedication over the last 4 years. Collectively, this group has contributed to the highest team score in program history, 196.95. All the top-ranked team scores in program history, the top event score on all events, vault, bars, beam, and floor, all top 10 vault scores in program history, and finally, 3-time Gymnastics East Conference and regular season titles, and the 2024 Ivy Classic team champions. In addition to these impressive gymnastics accolades, they've been dedicated to their academics, leading by example every year. They've consistently been performers in the classroom, contributing to team GPAs, all averaging above a 3.5. We're looking forward to the rest of the season watching you all in action and truly honored to miss your leadership, work ethic, and outstanding character you bring to our team. We wish you the best in everything you do in the future. First up is Emma Davies, escorted by her parents, Shannon and JJ. Emma's been a staple on our quarterfinal tournament time at Penn. She's currently tied for the 3rd spot in the record book with a 9.925 career high performance at the GW Lindsay Ferris Invitational last season. She's also contributed to the vaulted bars teams during the last 3 seasons with a career high of 9.725 on vault set in 2022 and a 9.75 on bars, which she achieved last season. Emma consistently brings a positive attitude and high work ethic to practice each day. She was recently voted by her peers as one of this year's Pride captains. She's in the Wharton School of Business, concentrating in finance and accounting. After graduation, she'll start work as an investment banking analyst at Barclays in New York City. From Cumming, Georgia, Emma Davies. Next up, Isabella Farrell, escorted by the parents Ron Garrett,